Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist, choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. So each day, I've chosen a different composer, one that's had a role to play at both institutions. It hasn't been difficult. We have so far had more than 60 composers who have had this wonderful relationship. And today, it will continue with the British composer Judith Weir. Born in 1954, she is currently the what's called Master of the Queen's Music. She's the 21st person to have that title and the first woman to have it. If you're the master of the Queen's music, that means that if an occasion comes where the Queen demands some special fanfare or an anthem or something, then the master of the Queen's music, and she preferred to keep the title and not change it to something else. So when that happens, Judith is called on to write a work for that occasion. I suspect coming up, there will be more of that. Of course, it also would have to do with a wedding, it would have to do with a funeral. And Judith, who I have met several times in London, is a charming, wonderful person. When she composes music, she is often influenced by medieval history and the fact that her parents are Scottish, and she uses some of that idea. She's composed a number of operas, orchestral works, choral works, organ pieces. It was in 1985 for the famous King's College 9 Lessons in Carols service that she was the commissioned composer that year. She wrote a piece called Illuminare Jerusalem, and it's not an easy piece, but it has this wonderful moment that keeps coming back, which happens to be something that my wife Carolyn adores when this comes on this piece, so that they have been singing, phrases like, and then very quietly, the choir with the organ goes, and every time that happens, Illuminare. I mean, it's a wonderful kind of effect that happens. And that's one of the things that we love about the music of Judith Weir. She also composed a piece called Ascending into Heaven, which uses some of that kind of idea on the organ. For the 35th anniversary of my being here at Plymouth Congregational Church, she was commissioned to take a poem. First time she had taken a poem of E.E. Cummings, and she wrote a piece called A Blue True Dream of Sky. And the ensemble singers, several years later, sang a piece of hers called All the Ends of the Earth, a really terrific piece, not an easy piece, but very effective with bells and choir. I chose today a piece of hers that she wrote for the 90th birthday of Queen Elizabeth. And from this beautiful cover that you have here, it was a piece she chose, and I love this idea, she chose as a poet Robert Bridges. And she said, I chose him because Robert Bridges was the poet laureate of England in the year that Queen Elizabeth was born. And he took a poem, or she took a poem, I love all beauteous things, I seek and adore them. God hath no better praise, and man in his hasty days is honored for them. This is music of Judith Weir. The organ part is a constant on the organ, and the choir sings these long phrases, starting very quietly and building through the piece. I love all beauteous things. I love all beauteous things, music of Judith Weir. You can just imagine that in St. Paul's Cathedral, where it was first performed. As I mentioned before, Judith Weir has also composed some wonderful pieces for organ. Some of them, based on some Scottish ideas, are very wild because that landscape in Scotland can be wild. But she also has written a very beautiful, peaceful work called The Tree of Peace. And this work, which was written in memory of, as she said, a talented and much-loved organist, was first performed in 2017 in Sussex. The title, The Tree of Peace, well, Judith is always, of course, wanting to find a reason. Why would you call something the Tree of Peace? She took that idea from two texts. One that Simon Armitage had written, "Cultivate the olive, therefore, the tree of peace." And then words of Virgil, "Thus shall you cultivate the rich olive, pleasing to peace." Music of Judith Weir. Have a wonderful day.